Cloak and Dagger is one of the most busted characters in Marvel Rivals if you know how to utilize all their abilities to their fullest potential. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to play Cloak and Dagger the right way and get those insane healing and damage numbers. Obviously, as a strategist character, your number one responsibility is to heal your team. If you want to play your role properly, you should spend most of the time in Dagger form. In this form, you can heal with your normal attack, heal orb, and heal wall. The best way to utilize these abilities is using your normal attack for small healing and using your orb and wall when your allies start getting really low in health. The wall and orb are super important because they do the most healing, and the wall can be used to boost the amount of healing your allies receive, so it will also boost the healing of the other support characters on your team. So make sure when you shoot your wall, you hit as many teammates as possible. The orb, on the other hand, will give continuous healing to anyone in the bubble. This is really important because it is the only ability you have to heal yourself, and it is super useful when you want to heal multiple people in a group. So, for example, when you're holding a choke point like this and your tank is being pressured, you should quick wall and bubble to get their health back up quickly so they can stay in the fight and push back. And now that your team is full health, that's when you can go in and switch to Cloak to start poking the tanks or bullying the backline. Remember, you cannot heal as Cloak, so if your team gets low, you have to change back into Dagger to heal them up. The best way to balance healing and damage is to wall your team and leave an orb on the ground so you and your team can heal in the circle before you change into Cloak to do damage. And if the enemy team puts the pressure on you, then you can just use your invisibility and blind abilities to get back to the backline and then change back into Dagger to heal your team back up. You should change between Cloak and Dagger depending on what your team needs, but it's definitely better to stay on the safe side and focus on healing and only change into DPS mode when you have the upper hand in the fight and your whole team is all healed up. Even though healing and damage are both really important to Cloak and Dagger's gameplay, above all, the most important Cloak and Dagger ability is Cloak's Invis. This skill sets them apart from every other strategist character in the game. With this ability, you can pretty much save your team from any big damage or insta-kill ult. This includes Iron Man, Magneto, Scarlet Witch, and even Jeff's ult. When you use this skill, it gives invisibility and invulnerability to your surrounding teammates. To counter ults, you have to make sure when you hear or see a big ult coming, you switch to Cloak right away and counter with your invisibility skill. This will shield all the teammates around you and make you all invisible. Keep in mind though that the Cloak only lasts for 2 seconds, so you'll have to make sure the timing is perfect. It also means that ults that last longer than 2 seconds, like Star-Lord's ult and Hela's ult, can still do a lot of damage even if you time your skill properly. The Invis is one of those abilities that you really want to save for dire situations because it is on a 12-second cooldown, and if you don't have it on hand, you're pretty much just dead to any insta-kill ult. But with practice, it's definitely possible to consistently counter the enemy ults, which, as you can imagine, has a huge impact on your matches. And if you're not in danger of ults, the Invis is also a very useful skill to get you and your teammates away from danger, or you can even use it to ambush the other team's backline if you have a more aggressive playstyle. The other important aspect of Cloak and Dagger's kit is, of course, their ult, which is one of the other things that sets Cloak and Dagger apart from all the other strategists in the game, because the ult does not only heal, but it also does damage. It's the only strategist ult that can also do damage. When you use your ult, Cloak and Dagger will lunge forward, putting a dark aura on the floor around you and behind you. It has 3 bursts of movement that you can point in any direction, and you will lunge forward to the direction that you're facing. This aura will damage enemies and heal allies, which means you can either use it defensively or offensively. The best way to utilize this ult is to push forward in front of your team because it will push the enemies back while also giving your team healing so they can push forward. The way I like to use this ult is to divide the team's front and back line. For example, if the enemy tank goes in to attack your team, you can use Cloak and Dagger's ult to push the backline away so they can't support the diving tank. You can then come back to your own team and help them kill the tank, or you can go in to do some damage on the backline because their tank is all the way on the other side. Once you get into the backline, you can use Cloak's abilities to blind and do a lot of damage, and they won't have the tank there to support them. And then if you start to get pressured by the backline, you can just invis and escape right away and go back to your team. Another thing to remember is that when your ult ends, you'll return to the character that you were using before your ult. So usually it's best to switch to Cloak before you use your ult, so that when you end your ult, you can invis to escape the oncoming pressure from the other team, or you can just go start attacking and doing damage to those supports and then go from there. So there you have it. If you follow these tips for Cloak and Dagger, there is no strategist character that can match the amount of utility that Cloak and Dagger have. It is definitely hard to balance all of Cloak and Dagger's abilities, but if you can master it, you can surely steamroll any team and even get a cheeky little MVP every now and again. So have fun out there and consider liking the video and subscribing. Let me know what you think of the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye bye.
Someone's behind us still. Magic. Oh, make. No, that's not who's behind us.
No, hit me.
I got you. Get Luna. Nice. This is a huge ult.
Carlos with the ace.
What can I say?
That was
I'm a healer.
crazy.
Nah, Brendan went
I was
crazy too.
I was spectating you, and you were like healing the guy and damaging the other guy, back to healing this guy, back to damage, and then you right click to the thing.